Hello my friends, once again it's I, Simon Miller, bringing you an ups and downs of the finger of power for WWE Crown Jewel. We're in a hotel room. I can tell you a little bit of a story. I'm actually here in Canada to do a surprise appearance for Destiny Wrestling that's happening on Sunday the 3rd of November. So, of course I'm terrified. What if no one cares? Not even my mother would pop if I just walked out randomly on a show. I don't know what that means. But I tell you what I do know what means, which was gibberish. I watched Crown Jewel on a plane. Let's up those doubts. So here's the deal, if you just want the spoilers, we have a brand new tribal chief. I think that's how it works. What a wonderful day. This was also a crazy start to the pay-per-view premium live event because we went right in with the story. But listen, man, sometimes that's all I need in my life. Look at me, I'm a massive wrestling nerd. It also explained why the Bloodline 2.0 taking on the OG Bloodline wasn't in the main event, because we were gonna do some sad panda stuff here, and you know what WWE is like when they do get to their big shows. They wanna send everybody home happy. Now, of course, the opposite to this is they could have done this if you're a massive Solo Sikoa fan. I'm just gonna tell you, I am becoming a huge fan of his. I think he's awesome. I also think we need to stop disrespecting Jimmy Uso, because while Jimbo came out to Roman Reigns' music, which he now done for like the third or the fourth time, Jey Uso got his own special entrance. Now, of course I like this, because Jey Uso got a mega pop, but also, if we're now trying to tell the tale that Roman Reigns has changed and he's not an emotional manipulator, well, Jimmy deserves his own song. All of these entrances took about 20 minutes too. So I was laughing my pants off, which is a weird thing to say. And we kicked off with Jade taking on Tama Tonga. For some reason, that really excited me. I don't know why. I guess I just never thought I'd see it in a WWE ring. This is when we got the first part of our narrative too, because Jimmy and Jay were tagging each other in because they are the Usos. I shouldn't have done it. And at one point, Roman, because he could hear the chants for him, was going, tag me in, tag me in. But Jay didn't do it, because he doesn't still trust this guy, but of course he trusts his brother more, because they came out of the same womb. Of course it did mean they couldn't coexist and they were going to fall into the Phantom Zone, but just look at the evidence on the paper. The Usos at one point were evenly handling Jake and Fatu, and he's been a beast ever since he did debut, and that should be the way. For goodness sake, the Usos main event at WrestleMania as a tag team, they should be able to take down General Zod. Apparently though, because Jimmy wants everybody to be friends, he started saying, why can't we just get along? And Solo Sikoa had predicted this beforehand, so he did have a game plan, and the Bloodline 2.0 rushed them, and they took over. Especially Jacob, he went nuts. We also got to see Fatu versus Jey Uso, another singles match I think we'll get eventually, when Tama Tonga was like, screw you, Jimmy, and he pulled him off the apron, but that meant Jey was in trouble. There's only one man's hand he could tag, and it was the OTC. This place went crazy. Now, of course, he went toe-to-toe with Solo Sikoa and was getting the better of him and even hit the Superman punch. But actually, when he went for the spear, he got spiked instead, which means he's dead. That sort of led to a bunch of 1-2-Oos. And one of them, it looked like Solo had got the 3, because Roman didn't kick out. Then the camera panned backwards and you realized, don't tell anyone, Jimmy Uso was meant to break up this pin, and I think he was a little bit late. But listen, I understand what they were going for here. I can't lie to you, I'll be honest, from my Tootsie Toes, I don't really care. Mistakes happened, I'll just pretend it was fine. Jay then dished out some super kicks, but Jake was back to give him an old headbutt when Roman Reigns was Superman punching everything that moved. And the whole point of this was to tell you, he's definitely going to win. When Tama Tonga kind of did a little bit of a dance, you know what happened? The referee got bumped. I mean, it is a Bloodline match. The punches still got thrown and everybody went down. But you know who didn't? Jacob Fatu. So listen, if you are a young, aspiring, up-and-coming wrestler and you don't know what to ask for Christmas this year, say, please Santa Claus, just let everyone book me like WWE books Jacob Fatu. The craziest part is that Solo took advantage of all of this and he walked up to Roman Reigns and he gave him the Samoan spike, and this entire audience was about to lose their minds because the referee went 1, the referee went 2, and the referee went 3. And Solo Sikoa had just pinned Roman Reigns, and now he is a chief that is tribal. I mean, Roman quite literally never gets pinned. I think it's been like 3 times in the last 4 years, which is totally woefully nuts. And again, there was a big asterisk over this, but at the same time, he still lost. The new Bloodline then started to kill these guys, because that's what they do, and they were going to throw them out on the announce table when Jey Uso was back, and he tried to help. So Jake was like, nah, bro, quite literally, now I'm going to break your neck with a chair. I mean, what are you gonna do? It meant that somebody had to walk out to save the day, and these fans knew the deal, because Sami Zayn walked into the ring, and because, of course, on SmackDown we had seen him talking to Solo Sikoa, we did that thing where he pretended he was gonna hug Solo, and instead, he gave him a big suplex. Now, once again, let's put this in reality. You went down to the ring to save your friends from dying, but your brain still went, wait a minute, let's do some drama first. Of course, the rest of the pack were then going to kill him when Roman Reigns and buddies made their save for Sami. So even though this moment should have made us and left us feeling warm and fuzzy in our tum-tums, something bad was coming. Ruh-roh. Because despite never teaming properly, Roman and Sami decided, I'm going to hit a spear and I'm going to hit the haluva kick. When Solo Sikoa got out the way, meaning Sam booted Roman right in the face, and I tell you, Jimmy Uso saw this and had a meltdown. They, of course, tried to play peacekeeper, so we're winding back the clocks here. And fair play to WWE production team. They recreated the same shot from WrestleMania 39 when Cody Rhodes couldn't believe he hadn't won the WWE title, but this time it was with Roman himself, and the background was Samuel Zayn. So again, this match does carry loads of weight to it because the new Bloodline have just won, so now they're the best Bloodline. If you told me you thought the match was lacking something, I would believe you, but that's because we took a big bucket of story and we poured it over the thing. Also, as I've already mentioned, I think Solo Sikoa is becoming my guy. I find him very entertaining, as was this. It was the big women's four-way tag team title match after this. And listen, I actually thought it was pretty good, but optics are more important here. Isn't it nice to have these belts defended all the time? It was also Lash legend and Jakara Jackson taking on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, taking on Damage Cole, taking on Jade, Cargill and Bianca Belair. That's like a first match. They kind of just got stuff done, but it was pretty fun. That rhymes, so it must be true. Belair is absolutely ridiculous though, because she was just busting out springboard moonsaults, and because she was taking on Io Sky, Io was being ridiculous too. And even though we have seen both of these guys fight a lot in 2024, I think I'm going to get bored of it. Green then got so confident she tagged herself in, but Belair and Io kind of took her out, which is when Piper Niven was like, you can't do that to my friend. She got punched in the face too. We then got all these amazing dives, especially Chelsea Green, who couldn't decide how high up she wanted to go, which ended with Lash legend and Jakara Jackson climbing on each other and then doing a big old jump through to the outside. So they're going to get over. Of course, Chelsea got the worst of all of this, and I just want to point out how entertaining her selling is. It's like a fish that is out of water and knows desperately it needs to get back into the water, but it doesn't know where the ocean is. Kairi Sane then realised she hadn't done match, so she started drop kicking people out of the sky, and Io must have seen that and thought, that's like my name, and she started doing the same thing as well. We made sure we did you take on me and I take on you, which also meant we saw Lash legend and Jade Cargill get at it. And that's just a treat, man. That is two horses kicking ass. It's never going to be boring. Eventually, they pump kicked each other, so Chelsea Green tried to steal the pin. That's obviously never going to go well for her, and she got totally crushed. So again, even though she didn't win here, do you know who the maximizer of minutes was? Chelsea Green. Damage Control were then using each other as projectiles when the metaphor hit this crazy bomb of power, when I think Piper Niven and Chelsea Green decided, right, this is our moment, we're definitely going to do it. I tell you, they could not drop the ball harder. Because Green was going to hit the Unprettier when there was some communication. So when Piper went to hit the Vader bomb, she crushed Chelsea instead. Once again, she acted like she was totally dead. This team is brilliant. It meant that Jade Cargill and Bianca could hit their double team finisher to get the 1, 2, 3. So once again, this was just a match to have a match. But I actually thought all 8 people did a good old job. And I think we're doing pretty well with Lash legend Jakara Jackson too. I mean, maybe they do need a little bit more experience, but you know how you get experience? By getting experience. They don't call me Aristotle for nothing. Up. When we get to our first down of the day, and it's a very nerd one for me, but I am a nerd, Bronson Reed did not win his match, and that is a down. And look, don't get me wrong here, Seth Rollins is an all-time great, he's a proper legend, but he's also Seth frickin' Rollins, and whatever we were going to do here, he would have been totally okay afterwards. Now look, don't get me wrong, this was super duper fun as well. Especially because they started brawling instantly. The referee was like, excuse me fellas, I'd like to ring the bell. They're like, nah brah, we're gonna fight. But at one point Reed even grabbed this guy and threw him into the audience when he rolled him into the ring. When the referee finally went ding ding ding, and do you know what B Reed dude? He hit a tsunami instantly. And I honestly thought that was it, because I'm a geek. Now, he did go for another one, but this is when Rollins was able to reverse it and hit a curb stomp. This is when, once again, my feelings are being pulled in 2 different directions. Because I've been told over the last couple of months that Tsunami is like being shot in the head, so how did Seth Rollins recover? But at the same time, Seth just hit his finisher, and he pinned Reed. and that Mother Hubbard kicked out one. After that too, Seth threw everything at Bronson Reed, but he couldn't take him down. It'd be like going into a garden centre and trying to chop a tree down with a banana. It's not gonna work. Now, once again, after the splash of the frogs, which is everything in Seth Rollins' arsenal, where Bronson picked this guy up and he hit this spinning slam. Once again, he got a very close 1-2. He followed with a superplex when he was like, right, mate, now I'm gonna hit you with another tsunami. But this time, Seth's brain, that stupid thing, had caught up with proceedings. He rolled to the other side of the ring. I started shouting, well, why didn't you do that last time, you absolute goober? But I guess he had educated himself. When Bronson was going to do something with Simba the Steel Steps, that did not go well at all, because from nowhere, Rollins went all Karate Kid, and he swept the leg. That also meant poor Bronson got his head curb slipped into silver. But that was absolutely gibberish. What I'm telling you is that Bronson's head went into the steel when we got back in the ring, and Rollins hit another curb stomp. And because Bronson was still wibbling wobbling, he went to the top rope, he charged his power meter, and he hit a super stomp. This time, he did get the 1-2-3. Once again, Bronson basically kicked out right after it. So look, this really was awesome and I had a great time, but that still means my original point still stands. Maybe I'm just a big fan of Bronson Reed and I was desperate for him to get a victory, but in terms of sitting down and having a good time, this was better than a damn roller coaster. We also got a cool ending because Reed rose up from the ground like he's Godzilla and he had blood pouring down his face. And Seth looked at him like he was a ghost and kind of mumbled something. So maybe we will do it again. So once again, I'm just going to reduce it down to entertainment here, and you gotta give it an up. Also, if you already want to watch one match on this show, I'd probably watch this one. I can't lie to you, why would I bother? I had tears of laughter. Because it was time for Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax to see who was going to become the Crown Jewel champion. Somebody from WWE HQ may have come out with a placard here that just said, we don't want either of them to lose, so we don't know what to do. Nia still headbutted Liv Morgan when Morgan came back with a DDT. This from the commentators are going, oh my gosh, if Liv Morgan does win, it's going to be such an upset. Now, one, she's a champion, damn it, so you shouldn't be saying that. And also, two, Liv told us this on SmackDown. She beat Nia Jax the last time that they did meet, so I don't think you know what you're talking about. Jax soon remembered that she was Samoan, so I think she did every single variation of the Samoan drop that did exist when we moved to WWE's new favourite spot, which they are doing a lot. When you have a small wrestler, you have a big wrestler. The big wrestler climbs up Tina the turnbuckle, so the small wrestler can give him a powerbomb. Now this was enough for the production guy to hit play on Tiffany Stratton's music, and she did run to the ring. And as always, she was like, I don't know what to do here, who shall I cash in on? But again, who was down and out right now? It was Nia Jax, so I smell shenanigans. The thing is, by this point, Nia had got back to her feet and she had seen this. She was like, damn you, Tiffy time, you better not cash in. In fact, I'm actually offended. It meant that Liv was able to use all of this to take a Phoenix down when she hit a crucifix bomb for a 1-2 when Tiffany Stratton was back. So she was just causing more interference than anyone has ever done ever. It felt like she was trying to cash in again, so this time Raquel Rodriguez was like, well, I'm out here, I may as well do something, so they got into it. And of course, all that allowed Liv to hit a code breaker, which was another 1-2. So if you want to walk into my hotel room right now and say, Simon, I think this was a little bit overbooked, I'd be like, yeah, I think I agree with you. But at the same time, I was loving it. Stratton was then going to get murked by Liv and Raquel, which is when Nia Jax just ran over everybody. And this worked in her favour because it was time for the Annihilator. But you know the deal. She had forgotten about Dominic Mysterio and his moustache. For he cast direction, and because the referee didn't know what was going on, Raquel once again smacked Nia Jax when Liv Morgan got the oblivion and she won. Honestly, I have seen Disney cartoons that had less action than this. Triple H was out afterwards to hand that eyesore to Liv Morgan. And I kid you not, that Crown Jewel title, I truly believe is bigger than an actual human being. Who the flub made this thing? As we found out anyway, these belts are staying in Saudi Arabia, probably because it would take 2 jumbo jets to get them back to America, and the winner is going to get a giant ring instead. And listen, there are a lot of things you can criticize here. Way too much happened. I think we forgot that Nia Jax and Liv Morgan are world champions, should probably be treated as such. But at the end of the day, I can only search my feelings, and I think Nia Jax and Liv Morgan really understand their characters, as does Tiffany Stratton. Dominic Mysterio and his moustache is always a delight. I gotta give it an up. By the end of this, again, I could sit here and go negative Nancy, negative Nancy, negative Nancy, but that wasn't my overwhelming feeling. Let's just say the phrase again. I had a good time. That's why it's getting it up. It was angle time after this, and I can't help it. sometimes on a show like this, I do enjoy a good, oh, it's an angle and a fake match. So I was pumped anyway, as it was going to be Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. And because Kevin Owens understands wrestling better than anyone that's ever been born, he came out wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton top. I love him. He also destroyed Randy Orton with a chair though and focused on his knee to the point, even when Randy fought back here and threw Kevin over and the announce table, he was limping, his joints are dead. They got so out of control here, even the referee was like, Kevin, would you please stop? So Owens dropped him with a stunner. Fair play to that referee, he took a great bump. More officials then got involved as Triple H probably sat in the gorilla position going, well, I told you this was going to happen. And honestly, every single production guy that got in there, they were being pinged around the place. This was a super duper good brawl. It also had some real weight to it too, because Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are out there. And do you know what happened to Mr. Pearce? He got dropped by the RKO. I think a punishment is coming. Randy and Kevin then brought into the crowd when Owens took a box-like structure and threw it into Orton's face. When, man, he did this crazy dive onto Randy. So fair play to these two, they smashed it. So I really did think they smashed it here, and again, I can handle this being a build to something bigger because we have so many big events, and now that we are at the other side of Crown Jewel, do you know who can interject themselves into this? Of course it's Cody Rhodes, and that's only going to make it better still. This was a good piece of business. It was our US title three-way after this, and the results somewhat surprised me. When you do break it down like D-Generation X though, I guess it just goes to show LA Knight is the champ, he is over like Rover, so why the flub would you take the championship of him? I really did think Carmelo Hayes was going to claim it after Andrade did a big old move and he would steal one. But at the end of the day, no matter who was victorious here, you probably could have told a good story. And also, this joke has the best punchline. Who won the best of 7 zeros between Mr. Tranquilo and Hayes? Well, the answer is LA Knight. Andrade was just on fire throughout all of this too, and at one point he pretended he was going to do his moonsault onto Melo, but instead he did it to LA Knight instead, and then Andrade and Carmelo was going at it again, and LA Knight really added something here too. It was like 12 minutes of sheer madness. These three guys never let up. Andrade also hit this avalanche fall-away slam, and because both dudes were done, LA Knight just went, yeah, and he hit this big elbow drop. It kind of happened again later because Andrade and Carmelo was on Team of the Turnbuckle and La went to jump up there to give them a suplex. You know what he did? He crotched himself. Now look, I have done far worse in a wrestling ring, but I'm also a bald a-hole and I laughed. Andrade then hit a Canadian Destroyer for a 1-2-ooh, but Carmelo Hayes broke that up. When Andrade also just busted out a Spanish Fly. So I hope you wanted some breakfast this morning, because Andrade was cooking. Hayes and Andrade then found themselves together again, but by this point, Knight had leveled up all of his meters, and essentially, he hit the BFT on Carmelo Hayes, and he got the 1-2-3. So while it was a really good match, it kind of did just end out of nowhere, but you can't fault it. It was too good, and everybody brought it here. And in terms of relationships, Carmelo and Andrade may as well get married, because good grief do they have good chemistry. So yeah, I can't argue with this. He is the guy, everybody loves him, and he gets huge pops wherever he does go. I'm never going to be mad at LA Knight finally getting his due. This is where we also learned that on Raw we're getting a #1 contender match, which is Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio versus Sheamus versus Damian Priest. And I have questions. I mean, if Dom was able to qualify for this because he did beat Damian Priest, then why is Damian Priest in it? And also, what the hell happened to that CM Punk versus Gunther rumor match that was going to go down at Survivor Series? Something is up. It was the main event after all of this though, and listen, we have to send all the kudos to Gunther and Cody Rhodes, because even though the concept was super whooper duper dumb, these two guys are such good professional wrestlers, and they care so much. My word, they made me care too. It was proper stalemate wrestling to begin with too, because everything Cody do, Gunther could do, and everything Gunther could do, Cody could do too, when they tried to hit each other with their signatures. But even then, the other guy had the other guy scouted. So we were indeed stopping sleepers, and we were stopping bionic elbows. And at one point when Gunther did that, he uppercutted Cody, then he did a little dance. Gunther needs to calm down here, because he's at risk of turning himself babyface. Eventually we did get disaster kicks and attempted sleepers, which saw them go on the outside, but when Rhodes went to do a dive, Gunther was like, man, you're not bringing your flippy ship in here, and he murked. This did allow the World Heavyweight Champion to move ahead a little bit, and even when Cody was throwing flurries, Gunther would just grab him and slam him down. And honestly, the pace that the Ring General works is so unique to him, but he's so damn captivating. Turned out we were going to do constant back and forth here, because eventually Cody did hit the bionic elbow and he got the Cody cutter, but that only got a 1-2-ooh. This is when in my notes I was like, I think Gunther's about to be hit with everything. turns out I was right. But actually, at first, from nowhere, Gunther applied the Boston Crab, which is interesting. He's not even from Boston. And when Cody tried to get out of this, he was so mad, he German suplexed him, and from nowhere, Gunther applied the sleeper. Now, it turned out that Cody Rhodes must have had his 8 hours sleep because he had all the energy, and somehow he turned that into the Crossroads. So listen, we got to do a rematch of this and give it a proper story. It will be fire. Gunther was able to kick out of that, so we continue to share these false finishes as well because he hit the power bomb and Rhodes kicked out of that too. Once again, I felt it in my loins. Here it comes. I was having a good time. Finally, Gunther went to the chops, and I was like, why haven't you been doing that earlier, you absolute goober? This is when Cody hit another Crossroads and Gunther kicked out again. That's when I definitely knew he was losing. The absolute best part, though, is that when Cody went for a super cutter, he did dive right into the sleeper. And Gunther has got that over because I was absolutely terrified. And all he's really doing is trying to put him to night-night. It also tied into the finish, and I thought this was so well executed because while Cody had come off the top rope, he had momentum, and he turned it into the most devastating move in all of sports, an attempted surprise roll-up, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And that is the way you use that damn maneuver. Dare I say it, it felt a little bit real. Corey Graves even mentioned Bret Hart here, which it was an homage to. Gunther was so pissed off, even though they did shake hands, and that's how you sell this. It didn't make Gunther look like a pansy or an idiot, it just made you go, oh my gosh, his concentration was gone for 3 seconds, and Cody got him by Jove. Liv Morgan then teleported in from nowhere, because Triple H was back handing out another one of those ridiculous belts, and again, you've got to go and see these images. It looks like the belt is holding them because the belt is so big. So I'm really amazed that the main event didn't have any nonsense, but I guess they just wanted to go out there and have a superb wrestling match, and look, they really did. I don't like the idea of these crown jewel titles. We've talked about it on Ups and Downs, but if we strip all of that back, massive round of applause for Cody and Gunther. They are some special talents, man. It's getting it up. Which brings us to the end of Crown Jewel, and it's such a hard show to rate because while you can enjoy all the matches for what they are, it also doesn't mean anything. Apart from the Kevin Owens and Randy Orton stuff and the Bloodline stuff, I actually think everything else could be forgotten, so I'm doing something I've never done before. It's thumb middle. Again, if you want to miss it, you'll be fine. If you watch it with some popcorn, well, you'll probably enjoy yourself. Now, more importantly, please do drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Crown Jewel. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And please go and check out my Ups and Downs for SmackDown so you can get all of my opinions. But now I'm asleep. I've been up for like, what, 37 hours or something. It's almost midnight. That's weird. Good night. Goodbye.